Hey, it's Andrew Huang, and we need to talk about the K-Pop Demon Hunters soundtrack, which within its immaculate pop package made such brilliant, creative, weird, and in some cases I would say unhinged decisions. So we're gonna talk about rhythm, we're gonna talk about melody, production, song structure. There's so many interesting things to dive into here. Let's get started. I think we first have to talk about the intro to Golden.
I was a ghost, I was alone.
So you got this intro that doesn't feel rhythmically connected to the verse. I've heard people say that it feels like it's speeding up or it feels like a tempo change or something. And what's going on is pretty interesting because you can count it in multiple ways. So let's just loop it. I think based on where the accents are in this melodic phrase, most people would probably hear it divided into three. So it'd be like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But another way that you could hear this is divided into 6 or 2 groups of 3, but the 3s are twice as fast, so it would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But the way where it fits the best with what the rest of the song does is if you actually divide it into 4. So it's which is the hardest one to count because of how the accents land. But let me play the intro going into the verse with a metronome on and you'll hear how it just lines up perfectly. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I was a ghost, I was alone.
Because what you have in the rest of this song, while you are probably feeling that main pulse of 4 in a bar, it's probably best interpreted as a 12/8 time signature. So there's 12 beats in the bar, and in this case, they're grouped in 4 groups of 3.
I was a ghost, I was alone.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And because 12 divides evenly in so many different ways, 2, 3, 4, 6, you can have accents land in different places, and there's no right or wrong way to count it. You can feel it however you want. I just wanted to show how it does fit in the grid of the song and also why it sounds kind of confusing. Continuing on with some other rhythmic stuff, I want to look at 2 things in Your Idol. The first one's not wild. It's just like a little bit more than typical, and I just really like it. It is the pre-chorus.
I'm the only one who loves your sins. Feel the way my voice gets underneath your skin.
Here we've got a beat in 4, but the melody has groups of 3 beats, and this is really very common. What they've done here though is they've had it go for longer than usual.
I'm the only one who loves your sins.
So 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That one slows down a bit. It's just so good. Most of this video is just gonna be me vibing to the soundtrack. It's not uncommon to do this 3/4 thing. However, in most pop music, I don't think they typically go beyond 5 of these groups. You'll hear a lot of da, 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 da. And here we've got 7. We've got da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Like it just pulls you along in such a fun way. And then let's hear the bridge going into the final chorus.
I will make you pray when you're all a part of me. Preach it to the choir. Can I get the mic a little higher?
They have removed the first beat of the last chorus. Let's hear it again.
I will make you pray when you're
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. This phrase,
preach it to the choir.
that happens in the previous 2 choruses on beat 2.
Preach it to the choir.
So we're coming out of the bridge, all the instrumentation drops away, and then you have the vocal move forward by a beat. It's very disorienting. And then you're not sure what beat you're hearing because you've become familiar with this chorus. You want to hear it on the second beat, but in this new context, you are kind of hearing it on the first beat and you're sort of in between these two feels. But by the time all the instruments kick in again, we hear what's actually happening. We've just lost a beat, and we've lost arguably the most important beat in the song. Like, in almost any pop song, the downbeat of the last chorus is the climactic moment. It's what almost everything else builds up towards. It's often the most intense moment. And here they've taken it away from us. So on a sonic level, it's really interesting hearing it kind of rhythmically different. On an emotional level, it kind of confuses you, makes you perk your ears up a bit. And I would say also, if I wanted to read into this symbolically, it could go a lot of ways. You know, you've got these super powerful demons, and this could almost be like a demonstration of their power. They can just remove whatever they want. They're in control. Or it could even symbolize them taking souls. I mean, what's more important than your soul? And here we have this kind of concrete thing in the music that's just them taking what's most important. Or I could give it another reading because this is close to the climax of the movie and the demons are about to experience their downfall. And we know as an audience, there is kind of a defector in their ranks. Should I have spoiler warning this? So is this super important downbeat missing, kind of emblematic of the destabilization that their whole empire is going to experience? This is getting really deep and interpretive about one beat of a song. If you like that, you know, hold it in your heart. If not, I mean, it's just a cool thing that they did with the rhythm. Maybe all it was a producer saying, let's chop out that beat, and it turned out really fun. Let's talk about melody now. The writing on this soundtrack is incredible. One of the things that I want to point out is how much variation there is in the melody, but also the huge ranges of these melodies. The vocalists are such powerhouses. The composition is so inspired. Let's take a look at Golden. You know, everybody knows that it's got these wild high notes. Just ridiculously high, but not only is it high, it is wide-ranging. The melody starts lower and then it climbs up there, but it also has all these rather large leaps within it. I'm not hiding now, I'm shining like a So we're looking at an octave and a fifth range for that melody. And then this gets heightened even further in the bridge where this melody is recapped, but it starts an octave lower. No more hiding, I'll be shining like I'm born to be, 'cause we are hunters, voices strong and I know I believe. For context, when you look at the range of a melody for any given song section, often it is within an octave. Sometimes it's even within like 4 or 5 notes. So a lot of these melodies are like 2 or 3 times wider ranging than what you would typically expect. And it's not like a melody with a big range is better or something like that, but it is a little bit different and it does make things more colorful. Like if you think about a black and white photograph versus a color photograph, both are different, both convey things differently emotionally, but the one with more color is more colorful. It's not a perfect analogy, but I think it works okay. You know, a wider spectrum of color presents more vibrancy and interest maybe. Same thing with a wider spectrum of notes. As a mega overgeneralization, of course, there's other things going on. There's plenty of examples where a black and white photograph would be more beautiful than a color one. But these large range melodies are unique and I would say harder to write, harder to perform. In these cases, really beautiful and fun to hear. And let me also point out here how much variation there is on this melody. I feel like it comes up so many times in this song and you're kind of just like, oh yeah, it's that part again. But it's actually different a lot of the time. In the pre-chorus, a few notes are changed to go with different chords. I'm done hiding now, I'm shining like I'm born to be. Which is actually quite different from what happens in the chorus. I'm done hiding now, and that's varied on different repeats and it's varied in the bridge. And actually in the bridge, it's actually put on other chords, not the pre-chorus chords or the chorus chords. We are hunters, voices strong and I know I believe. One more example of this amazing melodic writing with huge range, the pre-chorus of Your Idol. Again, can you tell that I love this part? I'm the only one who loves yours.
what's underneath your skin. Listen, 'cause I'm reaching to the
So if you were paying attention, 2-octave range for that melody, and that is just a pre-chorus. This is not a chorus. This is not the climactic moment of the song. It's just a pre with a 2-octave melody. It's absolutely wild. Also though, 2 more things on this. The second time the pre-chorus happens, it's actually a variation. The range is slightly smaller because they start it higher. Instead of it's... So they're always doing these little variations, they're developing things, they're keeping your ear interested, even if you don't know why. Last thing on melodic range, let's look at the chorus of this song.
follow the chain, you can't look away. Don't you know I'm here to save you?
Super high note. This is the chorus, so they want to go even higher than the pre-chorus. And built into this chorus melody, there's this jump up to this falsetto, which is the kind of thing that I feel like normally would be like a third chorus ad-lib, but here it is every single chorus. Chorus 1,
Don't you know I'm here to save you?
chorus 2,
Don't you know I'm here to save you?
chorus 3, with different lyrics, developing.
No one is coming to save you.
It just blows my mind that they're like, yeah, that's the hook. Like the average person cannot sing along to this. It's awesome.
Better come right, better luck trying, get into a level, cause you might die another the time, trying to start a better.
All right, now I want to talk about some more macro things around arrangement and structure and production. And one absolutely unhinged thing that I noticed after analyzing these songs, but we'll get to that. Let's start with the structure of how it's done.
Okay, I'll show you well. Better come right.
So on the verses, in the main drums, we got this kind of clave rhythm. This is commonly in a lot of African and Cuban music. Now in the pre-chorus, got your classic like EDM clap build-up. Now in the chorus, we're in this kind of swung trap EDM feel. Swing, which is different from the other parts of the song. Just back to this straight ahead rhythm. And then back to the clave. Now, when we get to this second half of verse 2, we're in that kind of swung trap feel, but this is a verse. It's got different riffs and instrumentation, a different intensity. It's just kind of a different section. And I noticed the first half of verse 2 actually matches more with the second half of verse 1 because that wind instrument is an octave higher. Where the first verse starts with it lower. And also the production is simpler here, where in the second half of the first verse or the first half of the second verse, you've got a little bit more stuff going on. So it's a super concrete example of structural development. You have verse 1, which is this less intense chunk and a more intense chunk. And for verse 2, the more intense chunk is what we start with, kick that one out of the way, and then we develop a new thing for the second half of verse 2, but which is cohesive because it is connected to the feel and the flavor of the choruses. All right, so what happens after verse 2? We've got another pre-chorus, naturally, but the instrumentation is different. They have leveled up the intensity. Let's hear the first pre in comparison. Much more chill. Builds in a very different way. And the second pre-chorus also extends the build. There's like an extra bar here. So an amazing build. And now here's another structural wild card. Instead of the pre building up to another chorus, it builds to another verse. But it's not what we started verse 1 on. It's not what we started verse 2 on. It's the second half of verse 2. It's this part again. I mean, it's that beat, but it's a new rap. It totally works, and it's a decision that I would never think to make. I would be like, we just came from this. We're doing a pre-chorus, and we're not gonna do a chorus now. We're gonna go back to the verse, and then we're gonna go from that verse to the bridge, which is very melodic. Again, you're about to hear, has a huge range, has this build up. And now we get our second chorus, which feels like a third chorus because of where we are in the song. It's, you know, after the bridge. And then another rhythmic change. They do 4 on the floor kicks for the repeat chorus, what is actually the third chorus. So a lot of rhythmic and groove switch ups, and structurally, they're just absolutely playing with the verse, chorus, bridge formula here in a way where I at least didn't even notice it. Like, I kind of felt like they were doing some things different, but I was like, oh yeah, okay, it's, you know, there's verses and choruses and there's a bridge. And this is not unique to how it's done. It's happening in a lot of the other songs. Let's go through Takedown, which is similarly structurally and rhythmically interesting. The clap thing for the intro. Now, very straight ahead beat for the verse. For the pre-chorus, there's a bit of a breakbeat drum layer, adding some shuffle. Then on the choruses, got this halftime kind of like rock feeling thing. I mean, you're gonna think about We Will Rock You, right? Stomp, stomp, clap. But then they layer the breakbeat build on top of here. And now we have this like EDM trap drop. Also halftime, but a very different feel. And then for verse 2, the trap continues. And then we get this pre-chorus, but it's only the second half of the pre-chorus. Very pop move. The second verse is sometimes cut in half. The second pre-chorus is sometimes cut in half. This is extra interesting though, because listen to the first time that part of the first pre-chorus happens. And listen to the second time. It's different instrumentation. It's actually a combination of some of the instrumentation from there, but with the drums and bass from the first verse.
I'm about to switch up these vibes. I finally open my eyes. Start to show and makes the hatred wanna grow out of my.
Not the second verse, which is, as we've just gone over, halftime, trap, and more reflective of what was in the drop. All right, now as the song continues from the second pre-chorus, it's a bit more standard. We get another chorus, another drop, and then the bridge. But let's take a listen coming out of the bridge.
But you can't hide. It's a takedown. I'ma take you out. You break down like what?
Here we have something that I struggled to label. I called it verse B2/drop 3, because you're coming out of this big bridge build and it feels like one of the drop sections, or what I call the drop section. Like maybe other people would call that a chorus. None of these labels super matter. It's just for helping us navigate what's going on. But listen to what the first 2 drops sounded like.
Down.
Now listen to what verse 2 sounded like.
Take down, I'ma take you out, you'll break down like what?
And now listen to this verse drop thing.
Take down, I'ma take you out, you'll break down like what? It's a takedown, I'ma take you out, and it ain't.
It's pretty much in the middle between those 2 intensities. Like it's not as heavy as this. And it's not as light as this.
I'ma take you out, you'll break down like what?
It's its own new hybrid thing coming out of a bridge where we expect a third chorus or third drop. But then this verse drop builds into the fourth drop. However,
All of you dying, I'ma take you down.
it's a dance hall feel. And this is also something that only happens this one time in the song. We don't actually get a repeat of the drop or repeat of the chorus. This is what I was calling the chorus, by the way. But also, I don't know. Maybe that's not a chorus. Maybe the drop is the chorus. But if the drop is the chorus, then it's also weird because that means there's 2 pre-choruses. It would go verse, pre-chorus, verse, half a pre-chorus. So the stuff they're doing is not only unorthodox, it's so differently interwoven that you can't even apply the usual labels to it.
I was a ghost, I was alone. 두어진 길 속에.
All right, structure of Golden. This actually surprised me when I looked into it because I've heard this song so many times. It's like the hit of the year, obviously, and you think it's a 3-minute pop song, but the structure is weird intro that we talked about, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge, pre-chorus, chorus. Outro. Feels like a normal pop song, but you don't have 3 choruses, you have 2. You don't have 2 or 3 verses, you have 1. Like, listen to this verse.
I was a ghost, I was alone. 두어진 길 속에.
Full of hooks, great melody.
To believe I was the queen that
The second half of the verse also, this fun offbeat stuff.
I couldn't find my own place.
So catchy. And that's it. You never hear any of that again. None of those melodies, none of those hooks come back for the whole rest of the song. It just like does not compute. And I'm imagining this would be a decision made for the sake of the story, you know? Like you don't need a second verse in this part of the movie. It makes sense to go to that bridge, which is much softer, and Rumi is kind of examining her feelings more, having a moment to herself. So it's just wild to me that you would write a verse that's that good and never come back to it. And then I didn't even realize this until I started analyzing these songs to make this video. That is what they have done for all 4 of these songs. Verse 1 never comes back. Here's verse 1 of Takedown.
So sweet, so easy on the eyes, but idiots on the inside. Whole life spreading lies, but you can't hide.
We don't hear this melody again.
I'm about to switch up these vibes.
We don't hear this melody again.
It's time to kick you straight back into the night.
The one thing we hear from verse 1 again is the beat, where it gets combined with the second pre-chorus. Let's look at how it's done. This is verse 1.
Better come right, better luck try and get into a level, 'cause you might die.
Never gonna hear this melody again.
Bleeding isn't in my blood.
Never gonna hear this melody again. And then even the part where I talked about the beat repeating, the second half of verse 1, which is the first half of verse 2.
I'm naughty, but sorry. And when you pull up, I pull up a little late to the party. La, 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 la.
It's a completely different flow for verse 2. Verse 1 was more melodic. This is definitely just full-on rap. Triplet feel. Your Idol. Here's verse 1. Such a good pop melody. In verse 2, that's a rap. Now the second half of these verses are much more similar, but there's still quite a variation. So the second half of verse 1.
No, I'm the only one right now. I will love you more when it all burns down. More than power, more than gold. Yeah, you gave me your heart, now I'm here for your soul.
Second half of verse 2.
Don't let it show, keep it all inside.
This part is much more similar. And then
give me all your attention. You don't want
almost entirely different for the second half of the second half. How much of a songwriting flex is it to come up with an amazing hooky melody and use it one time? So really, I'm just absolutely floored by this soundtrack. And you know, I haven't even talked about all the details I've noticed about these songs. There's a whole bunch of other songs on the soundtrack that have just as much creative stuff going on. And if I were to guess, I would say they probably arrived at this very interesting creative place for a number of reasons. First of all, so much incredible K-pop talent involved, the writers and producers and performers, just taking things to another level. I read that they did a huge amount of demos, and you know, we only have a handful of songs that are in the resulting film. At the same time, they are writing for a film. It almost forces there to be more development because that's how a story is gonna go. You know, a song can't just be a feeling, it's gotta progress more than usual. They had all these constant new visuals to be aligning with because, you know, in a movie, it's not like you're gonna have verse 1, and then verse 2, you're gonna show the same stuff. It's all gonna be different. The characters are doing new things, the angles are different, the lighting, the environments. So I'm imagining that that pushed the music creation as well. And then overseeing all of the music, they had someone with a lot of Broadway experience. So you're combining all of these people at such a high level from different backgrounds, working on a piece that is so visually fast-paced and dynamic. I think it pushed them, and I think they hit a home run. This music is amazing. That's the video.